Hi, and welcome to Spite Incorporated. This is your host, Nace Flaw, and we're going to try this laptop microphone again. I've had it on for a couple minutes now, and I haven't heard any weird sounds. Taking out my earbuds because the delay is driving me insane, as usual. Let's hope for the best, because the last attempt, I don't know, it sounded like I had a phaser on the microphone. I don't get what was going on there. So we'll try this again, see what. Hopefully there's no weird chipmunk giving birth sound this time. It's a learning curve with this laptop. It's been a long time since I had one. Probably 8 years. And that one was a piece of crap. I mean, it was just massive and had no options. Anyway, so did I do a cast last week? I'm forgetting. I know I skipped a week at some point. I did do one last week. Okay, what's been going on? The one topic that I really wanted to hit on was on Twitter the other day. I said something about how that Lana Del Rey song that's on in the top 40 right now, "Summertime Sadness," how it's really good and how it kind of surprises me after my last exposure to her, which was the SNL incident where she was just terrible, universally panned. So it was a surprise that this was actually a really decent track. Well, days later, somebody responded on Twitter, God, it's not even her track. I asked them to elaborate. Stupid me. And they said that it's a remix of the original track. It's her singing, of course, it's her song, but blah 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 blah. I don't see why this person on Twitter felt the need to say anything. I mean, unless they really hated Lana Del Rey. I mean, I really hate Rihanna, but I'm not like cursing out everybody who mentions her. I don't search for mentions of Rihanna and like, you idiot, stop listening to her. Although, since I have your attention now, if you ever listen to Rihanna, please, for the love of God, stop. So, what kind of stuck with me is the fact that yes, it's her song, yes, it's blah blah blah. A lot of songs can be said about that. I mean, like a lot of songs. I'm speaking English, yeah. It just got me thinking that pieces of art, specifically music and writing, you say that let's see. From here, I can see Chuck Palahniuk. I know that I say I like the Chuck Palahniuk book, or I didn't like it, whatever my opinion is. But really, think about all the people that actually worked to get that printed. I mean, he wrote the original draft, but there may have been beta readers. There was an editor, at least one. There may have been, line editors and then final manuscript editor. Of course, there's all the secondary ones like book cover, the publisher, etc., etc. But I'm trying to think of more the biggies. And just there, we named a bunch of people, right? With musicians, I mean, back in the day, it was very common for pop singers to never write their own songs. It was unheard of. Nobody, wrote their own songs, and so they performed what the writers gave them. And of course, they're all band members. Like, nobody really wrote this except for a team of writers. And everyone was all right with that. Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, these are beautiful, beautiful voices. Well, Billie Holiday more so. But they never wrote anything. They sung each other's songs. How many people sang Stormy Weather? Did either of them write it? No. Of course not. So it became a big deal when the Beatles came along, and they're really, I can't say for sure they were the first, but I know they're credited as being kind of the leaders of of bands that wrote and performed their own music, which kind of revolutionized rock, because now almost everyone does, at least in that genre. Pop, it's pretty rare for people to write their own songs, and even when they do, if they've reached radio status, then they have a team of writers with them. It's when that team leaves that it's maybe them and one other person, and they don't hit top 40. Then they're in adult contemporary. I'm thinking of like Elton John here, Madonna. Like these people don't have teams anymore because they think they're too big for it. Okay, now I'm just kind of speculating. But with music, especially top 40, rock not so much. Well, even let's take rock. Rock, even if you have a band of like 4 people that together they wrote music, they wrote the lyrics, they performed it, you still have the studio that recorded it. You still have the guy who mastered it, the guy who made the album art for it, and so on and so on. You have a whole team. So when you're saying you like or dislike that a particular track, you're really saying that you like what that team did. Now, the real question here is, does anyone care? Does it matter? I mean, how far does it go? Because maybe, you can account for each of those people's teachers, each of the inspirations for those people, each of the people all the people that affected them in some way. And I mean, you go into movies, there are just hundreds of people that are putting movies together. Many of them go uncredited. Even a small scale, low budget film where people are wearing a lot of different hats. You have just a massive team of uncredited people affecting the outcome of that movie. And you're saying you like it or dislike it, and maybe giving credit to what, the director, the writer? What about the other people? A line has to be drawn, and it's a very kind of classical versus romantic concept. I kind of have Pirsig in the back of my head right now, writer of Zen and the Art of Motor Maintenance, and the lesser known, lesser acclaimed, and just lower quality sequel, Lila. But if you take, this piece of art, and you look at it romantically, you'll say it affected me this way. So it has this level of quality. If you look at it classically, then you take it bit by bit. Not only do you take the form of the content itself, but the creation of it as well, the entire process. And so you're looking at all those people that influenced it to some degree. One extreme or the other. You count everybody, you count no one, except the content. Me, I lean more towards romanticism. If a piece of music strikes me, then it strikes me. Is it nice to give credit where credit's due? Of course. Everybody wants to receive their credit. But at the same time, I don't know, we're all gonna die. The art is going to be out there, but hopefully forever. It's going to be independent of us. So really, it doesn't matter in the long haul who actually made it. And a lot of time, names are forgotten. We have whole plays, classical plays that the Greeks wrote. We don't know authors. If we do know authors, we kind of made it up. And we have lots of artwork that is not credited to anyone in particular, because we don't know. Tombs of the Unknown Soldier, in print form, musical form. But Sorry, I kind of lost my thought there. So I lean more towards romanticism uh, because I don't care about all the parts. And maybe it's the I don't know. There are people that do, and they really want to give credit to everyone, and I think these are the same people that always want to write thank you cards for birthdays, which I've always found ridiculous because then where does the thanks stop? Thank you for the thank you cards. Well, thank you for the thank you for the thank you, and on and on. Um, See, my neighbor came home just now, and I tried to be quiet for a second and completely lost my train of thought. And it's far too early for that. Like, I don't want to say goodbye at this point. Um, I don't know. But think about that as you will. I mean, like, how much do, do you want to give credit to people or not? I mean, just kind of keep in the back of your mind that there are entire teams of people involved in any product that comes out. Any. Um, and then, you decide whether you want to acknowledge that team or not. Just know that they exist. It's like we've had training at work since I'm still a relatively new hire. Uh, the new hires have had training this week. It's 4 hours for 3 days, 4 hours each day, um, about basically how not to scream back at customers, how to show empathy, how to empathize with these people, and it really comes down to it comes up again and again in these training sessions how the customers don't empathize with us. They forget that we're people. Doesn't that seem bizarre? I mean, I understand it's easy to like I had to call up my student loan company recently, and it sickens me to do so to call them up and because I think they're a soul sucking company. However, I've always had really good customer service from them. The people there have excellent character. It's just I don't like the industry that they're in. But as members of customer service, they're quite good. Um, so I mean, I understand that there is some difficulty in separating the two. But at the same time, it's like don't get angry. Why is there such hatred for somebody whose job is to help you? I mean, maybe sales screwed you over, but you know what? That's kind of expected with sales, isn't it? Or maybe collections pissed you off because you didn't pay. Well, that's not their fault. They're just trying to do their job. Why didn't you pay? And or if your print ad got messed up, but I'm doing something with your website, like, don't you see that these things are disconnected? Don't you see that like we're not all holding hands and like talking to each other? We're not all dedicated to you. Now, some companies, if you're a large company, if you have reach a certain pay grade, then yes, they will have dedicated agents. Um, I was one of those dedicated agents for another company, and that was for anybody who brought in I believe it was $5,000 a month of revenue or more for one account. Now imagine that you're paying somebody for $5,000 worth of advertising per month, and it's easier than you think. It really is, especially in the digital world. Search engine marketing can be insane with that, or placement ads claiming. There's doesn't take much to blow a lot of money online, but company I'm working for now does not, as far as I'm aware, have dedicated agents like that because they're aiming for small to medium sized companies to help with their advertising and social presence. The last company that I worked for, I don't think they limited themselves to small and medium. They wanted to be just kings of all size companies, and maybe that was their downfall because they tried to treat the small ones equally with the big ones, and you can't really do that. There are different expectations. You can't scale your services. Um, it's almost like a difference between JPEGs and a vector. Vector, you can scale a vector image in any size. That's the whole point of it. Whereas something like that you make in Photoshop, uh, it gets pixelated if it gets too big. Well, advertising is the same way. It gets too big, you start to kind of see the gnomes behind the mechanism. But so that's where we're at this week. Just a lot of training how not to strangle customers when they start cursing at you, which is unfortunate. I mean, I've worked with some bosses who thought they did not believe the customer was always right. They believed in their employees. I don't know. It's a tough call. I mean, with retail, that's kind of simple. You kind of have that black or white. In multimedia marketing, it's different. There are a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and there are a lot of different skill levels. Even within one department, you have a lot of different types of personalities, and so do you stand behind your employees, knowing that sometimes there are poor employees, or there are employees that are intelligent but provide poor customer service. I don't know. It's a tough call. I mean, I'm not so big. I mean, I'm just a very tiny cog in the wheel. I don't have that kind of, like, would I even care? No. Me, I'd like to believe that I'd be behind my employees, but I would also believe that I would be pickier with hiring. I guess it might be more difficult if you're promoted and the team already exists. Because in some HR scenarios, you can't just fire people. You can't come in and clean house. It would be nice. It would be nice if some places could do that, but of course there are checks in place so that assholes don't do that as well. So one jerk messes it up for everyone else. Now you can't fire the people that deserve it. What can I say? But yeah, this episode has been kind of meandering and slow paced. I am just stuffed with pepperoni and cheese at the moment, and I think I'm ready to just veg. I've been doing a lot of vegging lately. Been in a veg kind of phase that I gotta get out of. But you know what? I don't think I'm gonna get out of it tonight. I don't think I'm gonna fight it tonight. I think the training may be draining me. That, and I have 4 hours of training, which is just, it's so sluggish. And for those people that can understand, you get bored of doing nothing. It's tiring doing nothing. And then lately, around my town, they've been closing all of the roads on the one half of town to do construction. And so instead of, okay, the main road is closed, I gotta go to secondary, like my backup. No, I gotta go to like the fourth or fifth backup because that much has been closed. And so it's taking me an extra 15 or 20 minutes to get home when it only takes me about 25 minutes. And so by the time I get into the front door, I'm a mixture of furious and defeated. And yeah, that's where I am this week. So, but my 31st is coming up soon. My father got me hockey tickets to the Flyers versus Phoenix. I didn't even know Phoenix had a team. They're the old Winnipeg Jets, not the current Winnipeg Jets, which used to be Atlanta. So if you're not a hockey fan, this probably seems really stupid to you. And if you are a hockey fan, it probably seems kind of stupid to you. But yeah, Phoenix. Did you even know they had a hockey team? Like who in Arizona watches hockey? I thought they were just, all about the meth and the desert and getting out of Arizona. Everyone I met from Arizona, that's basically what they're about. But what do I know? I've never been there. And I just insulted an entire state and its population, so maybe it's time for me to wrap things up. As always, you can tweet me at @acoincidence on Twitter. There are more than enough ways to contact me at black-ring.net. And of course, like me, as I talked about on the last episode, facebook.com/acoincidence. Until next time, you have yourself a good week, and consider all the people that make the media you consume. Just, that's your exercise for the next week. You have a good one.